This is Pavlina from Pavlina's Kids Place, and I'm here on location at the NABJ Convention with Orlando Sentinel editor Mark Russell. Hello.
Hello, how are you, Pavlina? Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for being here. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Awesome, that's great. So what makes a good journalist?
A good journalist is somebody who's curious, who's has the ability to ask great questions and can really soak up a lot of information and be a storyteller.
Yeah.
Because after all, we're in the business of telling good stories and great stories to get people engaged in our content, or taking video, or doing any number of things online that we do these days on all the platforms we work on.
What do journalists say, what are their biggest mistakes?
The biggest mistakes for journalists is not doing enough research and not bringing context to a story, and not really being complete in how they do their reporting, because we have to be, we're writing the first draft of history in many of the stories we do, so we have to be accurate, we have to be complete, we have to be contextual. So a good journalist is all those things.
With the verdict for Trayvon Martin case, did that surprise you?
Frankly, and I don't really give my opinion on the verdict like that because I'm the editor of the paper, but in Florida, nothing really surprises me anymore because we've got a state where Casey Anthony, many people thought she was guilty and she was acquitted. And in this case, clearly, as the jurors pointed out, they tried to go with the evidence and they tried to look at the self-defense laws, and they made a decision based on the law. So from that standpoint, it didn't surprise me, but I did think that they might have had a chance to do manslaughter based on the evidence, but apparently the prosecution didn't do a good enough job based on what the analysts say. But as a journalist, I try never to give my opinion on cases like that. I'm a neutral journalist.
We were actually, I was in Columbia University and I was in a media and politics class, and we were talking about the different cases with that. So that was interesting. But what did you learn from that case and how it affected people, especially in a journalism community?
One of the things that's very interesting about this case is that it brought up broader issues than just the actual crime that happened in Sanford. It brought up the issue of stand your ground, which is the self-defense law in Florida. We were the first state to have it. It also looked at the issue of racial profiling, because many people thought that George Zimmerman profiled Trayvon Martin when he only saw him in a hoodie, walking in his own development in the rain. He then followed him and pursued him because he thought he was suspicious. So we had to really delve into those kind of issues. We also looked at the issue of night watchmen and what kind of powers they have in a community like that. Can they just follow someone and shoot them because they think they're a criminal element in their community? In most cases, we've determined that in fact, the night watchman rule, if you will, is that they shouldn't pursue someone, and they really shouldn't even carry guns. They should call the police.
Exactly. You worked for a lot of different northern newspapers in Cleveland and Boston. Does the area affect the newspaper style?
Frankly, no. I mean, all newspapers are very similar in what they do in terms of presenting the news, in terms of how they are arrayed as a newspaper. I will say that in Florida we have different kinds of news because this is a place where it's usually warm, where we have alligators, we have hurricanes, and it's quirky stories here. In fact, in our newsroom we have a particular area that we cover called Central Florida Life, that these are stories you'll never see in Boston, in Cleveland, and Chicago. Stories about alligators, stories about brick-lined streets downtown. It's a very quirky but a fun place to cover the news.
Yeah, definitely. And growing up, kids have all kinds of obstacles. What kind of obstacle did you have, and how did you overcome or deal with it?
It's funny you should ask that question. One of my obstacles early on was that I went to a school where I didn't think the folks who worked there, the instructors, really thought of me as anything more than someone who could have a career, maybe going to the Army or doing something like that. And I had to really fight through that, particularly when I was in high school, and really work hard and kind of show them that I had higher aspirations than that. I wanted to go to college, that I wanted to become a journalist, and I had very strong parents who supported me in that endeavor.
Awesome. That's good then, definitely. So the NABJ Convention has a lot of great, panelists and speakers, workshops. How has this been a really great experience for you so far?
NABJ is always a great place to be because you see old friends, you meet new people, and you also get inspired by the panels you're on. Not only the one I just was on Trayvon Martin, but also the ones that are come up on very specific topics like social media and about mobile journalism. But it's also a place where you can unwind a bit and you can meet people from other communities and learn about what they do in their communities in a social setting. I think it's a wonderful way, particularly for young journalists, to kind of understand the field better, make connections and make contacts that might be able to help them one day down the road, having someone that can be a mentor to them or have somebody who could be one of their personal friends and help them navigate this business, which can be very tough at times.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for talking to me.
Thank you very much, too. Appreciate it.